All right, Corbin Wallace, CEO of Trevi Advanced Hydration. What in the world is a $200 million brand, Simple Modern, very big 9-figure brand that is still growing at double-digit percentage growth year over year, at which you were an executive on the leadership team? What in the world is a $200 million a year brand starting a hydration electrolyte brand, any brand, from scratch? I do not understand what in the world led you guys to start a new brand and not just pour all of your resources and life into the Simple Modern monster.
Yeah, well, it's a great question. It's one that we actually asked ourselves quite a bit in this process as we've thought about, created, and now launched Trevi. When we first got started kind of in the electrolyte hydration space and started developing the actual product, we were thinking, well, in my old role at Simple Modern, I was helping lead the growth team. And one of those kind of core scopes that I had with Simple Modern was actually to help find ways for the company to grow. And that included product expansion, category expansion specifically. And about a year ago, we found the hydration category just really interesting. And specifically the electrolyte powder space within as like a subcategory of hydration. We found it to be just an incredible category. And it kind of checked all the boxes from a growth standpoint that Simple Modern loved. But when we got down to it and we actually created the product and decided that we were going to launch this new brand, we felt like it needed to be a different brand because while Simple Modern is an incredible brand, an incredible company and doing really wonderful work in the market, and like you said, still growing, we felt like there is actually a strategic difference between a consumables company and a durable hard goods company. And at the end of the day, that was probably one of the major considerations that led us to a completely different brand was the fact that Trevi was going to live in the consumable space. And that company, that brand has to do a lot of different activities to win in the market relative to a durable goods company. And while Simple Modern is doing really well in the market, and we're really proud of the brand that we've built, it actually has to do different activities than Trevi will have to do to succeed. And while it would have given Trevi potentially a better head start in the market, we don't know if it actually would have helped Trevi over a course of a 3, 5, and 10-year time horizon. And when we looked at the electrolyte hydration category to get into, we were not looking at it for a like 12, 18, or 20-month time horizon. We were looking at it over the course of decades.
Okay. All right. Decades. Wow. Okay. That's interesting because I think of that category. I'm before you sent me Trevi, I'm a daily drinker of Noon. So, yeah. So like I definitely am the customer in some way, you know? And that was definitely my main comparison point. I tried Element at points as well. Okay. So, but let's go back a little. So, okay, really quickly. So you're the CEO of Trevi, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you're totally done with Simple Modern stuff.
Yes, it is. Trevi is its own entity, kind of like sister, brother, sibling, subsidiary.
Right. Yeah. Okay. You were running growth at the executive level. What was your title? VP of growth?
Chief Growth Officer.
Chief Growth. Okay, great. Okay. So at Simple Modern, that you were doing well. I mean, you guys were growing like gigantically. Simple Modern, big at this point, big D2C business, big bulk custom business, big, huge Amazon business, one of the biggest Amazon businesses I've ever seen. Mass retail, brick and mortar, Walmart, Target, like just like the whole, you're multi-channel in every possible way. So let's talk about the Trevi opportunity, because your answer to my first question answers some of it, but it doesn't answer other parts of it, which is like, what is the opportunity for Trevi in your view that makes it worth saying it is worth diverting? I understand why you set it up as a separate brand. That makes sense. Your answer explains that. But why do you think this is an opportunity that's big enough to divert energy away from Simple Modern to that? Like, what was that calculation?
Yeah. When it comes down to it, when we were looking at growth opportunities for the company, it's like Simple Modern is playing in a very specific category within drinkware. You've got some bags, some lunch bags, some backpacks, and some core categories that it's competing in, some adult kind of women's bags, beach bags, totes. And those addressable markets are certain sizes. And when we kind of looked at what the opportunity was for the company to continue to grow, and we saw this adjacent product line in this category that we wanted to get into, we were trying to do this calculation of what do we need to do to win in the market, and as well as to just to succeed with what we wanted to do in kind of like our lives, right? Like we wanted to spend our time on worthy endeavors. And when we got to this space within hydration and why it needs to be different and why we wanted to go after it in general, it's like the addressable market for hydration in food and beverage is just massive. And in a consumable space, it's huge, and it's dramatically larger than the durable goods, water bottle, tumbler, and kind of portable beverageware space. And so when we see when we kind of have this rubric, right, for new products, new categories within Simple Modern. And one of the things I was doing at Simple Modern was always working with the rest of the team, whether it's the executive team, the sales team, everyone working on Simple Modern is like, okay, what are new categories we could get into? And when we got to the point in seeing hydration about a year and a half ago, we were just like, well, it's a massive market because it's in food and beverage. It just so happens that powdered electrolytes are one of the fastest growing subcategories of hydration of food and beverage. And so when we're looking at how can we strategically win, why are we going after this? That was really it. It's like, it's a large market. And then the subcategory that we're going after is the fastest growing subcategory of that market. And we think that it's a lot, it's more advantageous to enter growing markets than stagnant or shrinking markets. And so what we really wanted to do was put our resources in a market that was growing, that we felt like we could really win in. And so, you want to be in categories that it's not necessarily winner take all. You want to be in categories where there are lots of winners for a variety of reasons. I mean, we're probably going to win some of the category by the strategy we are deploying, but we are probably not going to win every customer, right? Like you've named a couple competitors already in the space. And I would say that the hydration electrolyte powder space is full of really good competition. And each one of them is trying to kind of like serve the customer and like serve a purpose that is different and unique. And so the product that we've made, we think is exceptional. We've spent literally hundreds of hours in a lab kind of working on the formula and working on the product, kind of dialing it in. And we know that we have a 5-star product. We know that through blind taste test. We know that through hours and hours of work. But at the exact same time, our product's not going to be for everyone. We're working to build a product for daily hydration because we know folks are just generally dehydrated. People are not drinking enough water. People are not putting enough vitamins and minerals kind of in their body on a given day. And so what we've tried to do is create a product that makes hydration just a little bit more fun, enjoyable, and easier for them.
Okay, there's a lot there. When you talk about your new product sort of efforts, is this the Boston Consulting Group Square? We've
taken the BCG matrix and we've actually kind of like changed that a little bit. Simple Modern. Right. Yeah. So
Brian talked about that on my podcast a long time ago and I've always liked it, but okay. So you sort of added your own twist on it. But even to that point, it's interesting to hear as the chief growth officer at a company Simple Modern size. I think there's a lot of people who will probably listen to or watch this when they think of growth, they will think of primarily of advertising tactics, but you just talked a lot about product. And I'm just wondering if you can talk about that a little bit. Is that how you guys think about growth at Simple Modern and now at Trevi, like sort of product led growth, or is that, or is it broader than that? Is that a little too narrow of a way of saying it?
It's a little bit too narrow. I mean, there were 3 kind of pillars that what I was doing within Simple Modern as the chief growth officer. One of them was like helping with the senior leadership team and others kind of create a product roadmap of new products, new categories that we could be getting into, and strategically looking externally in the market to see where we could grow through core product lines that we were offering, as well as adjacent product categories, merchandising, and making sure that we knew what we were selling, when, where, and why, ornamentations, configurations, things like that. And then our licensing portfolio and our external partnership. So it's like, those were the 3 pillars of work I was doing. And so we called it growth. Most of the consumer space, the growth, like you said, is advertising, marketing, and performance spend. And that's not how we think about it at Simple Modern. We've got that kind of core competency in another department. But
Yep.
when we were expanding the role, and when I took over that role about 3.5 years ago, that's what we kind of tasked the growth role with. So
what you're telling me is you try to never deal with Chris Hoyle if you can help it. That's what
I love Chris. I share my office is right next to Chris. So no, Chris is the best. So, but
I love Chris too.
But one of the things about marketing, right, is that like the best thing to market is a great product.
For sure.
The best. And so like it kind of goes hand in hand, right? It's like no one wants to market a product that's not any good. And no one wants to build a product that no one's going to market. And so it all works together. But what we saw as growth is that like, the durable goods space and how we entered the drinkware category mainly through Amazon first as an Amazon first business and now growing into an omni-channel business. It's like we made certain decisions over time to win in the market. And then as time expanded, it's like, okay, there's only so much you can do. So you have to bring new products to market and kind of grow that way because, I mean, when we entered that market, I joined it in 2016, the company was starting in 2015, but it's like very rarely do you see a category take over an entire aisle at Walmart and Target, right? It's like go to a Dick's Sporting Goods, go to an Academy, go to any retailer. And a decade ago, there was like maybe 4, linear feet in a retailer for stainless steel drinkware. And now it's aisles, like multiple aisles. It's in home categories, it's in sporting goods, it's everywhere. And so very rarely do you, take that same kind of approach. But honestly, the electrolyte hydration category is very similar to the way drinkware was in 2015, 2016. There were a couple national brands that had done an amazing job of like being the first mover in a lot of ways. And then there are a lot of people entering the market, and we'll see what happens with the electrolyte hydration category. But there are a lot of similarities to what we did about 10 years ago with Simple Modern.
Yeah, I just wanted to put my finger on that product component because I think it's just like it's easy online. And again, the kind of people who are maybe going to watch or listen to this episode to think sort of tactics all the time when they think about growth. And I certainly talk about that stuff a lot. I'm a huge fan. I believe in it. Like I think there are real things, but it just, you've already talked a couple of times about the existing market demand and how that shaped your guys' approach to Trevi. And I've watched another brand recently that I'm working with, really start to expand their volume fast, grow really fast. And it's just because of TAM. It's just because, I mean, that's way too simple. It's not just because of TAM. They've done all kinds of other stuff to make that happen. Right. Including hammered away at their margins and it opened up 15 points of margin in their product, which is a huge deal.
That's huge.
We've done a really good job on the advertising side. Like there's all of those things too, but in the end, they are growing at the same sort of marketing efficiency numbers as a percentage, as ratios. They're growing those much faster than they were before. And it's because there's a massive amount of demand in the category and they figured out how to tap into that using different tools. And so when you're talking about product expansion, ornamentations, licensing, and now a whole new category, where you're going to something like Trevi, I mean, when I saw this, I thought this makes sense. Like, given your guys' awareness in the drinkware space, it makes sense that why you split it off on a separate brand. It makes sense why you want to tap into the tailwinds that are happening in the category, and that you already have these giant email lists that you can launch into and all that kind of stuff, and product lists. You could probably drop an insert for Trevi into every single Simple Modern water bottle, like those people who by definition are drinking water theoretically. And so, all of that stuff struck me as a really smart play, but it's just interesting. I think people make a mistake very often of just not thinking about this really simple question, which is like, how do I just serve my customer better with product and then messaging the value of that product? What can I do next to offer them the things that they want to buy already? And then also, are there customers I'm not reaching that I could reach that with complementary products to what I'm already doing? And so Trevi feels like this like really fascinating example of that to me, because you did that. You saw this opportunity that was so much in line with that, with this. And it is, I think you're right. It's a huge opportunity for all the reasons you've said. In fact, so much that you're actually even willing to spin off a whole new brand to go capture the opportunity. The best landing page and funnel building software in the world is Fermat. Fermat is the Ferrari of landing page software. It's really well beyond just landing pages alone. But if you are running ads in a way where you're targeting really tight funnels, like you have one product that applies to different kinds of customers in different ways, think beauty, think skincare, think think supplements, any of those categories where you're taking messages and doing lots of different problem solutions, lots of different angles. There's no better way to extend the messaging of your advertising all the way through the funnel than with Fermat. Fermat's incredible. So it starts with landing page software that's incredibly easy to use, incredible user experience, customer experience, by far the fastest loading landing pages I've ever seen in my life, bar none, no question. And then from there, you can actually extend your messaging into custom PDPs that are easy to make, including like custom built bundles without having to go build a bunch of different products in Shopify, offer testing, all those kinds of things, so that you can connect your PDP back to your ads. So you can actually have custom PDPs down to the level of ads. This is the fundamental problem with PDPs, right? Is that they have to appeal to a very wide range of customers, and it makes it harder to speak your message clearly and deliberately all the way through the funnel, because they have to be generalized. Well, you can build custom, and you can even build custom cart upsells as well, so that basically you end up with an ad promoting one angle down to a landing page, down to a custom PDP, down to even cart with specific upsells off of that, specific offers, and test and analyze all of it right in Fermat. It's just incredibly robust, easy to use, thoughtful at every solution. It really does allow you to do the thing they say you can do, which is to create landing pages with like the speed and ease that you can currently create ads. Maybe not quite that fast, not quite that scale, but really close. Certainly better than any other software I've seen for it. Go take a look and see if it's right for you by going to fermatcommerce.com/AF. I use it with one of my clients right now. Has been extremely successful with them. We're just going deeper with it all the time, getting more value out of it all the time. You're going to love it too. fermatcommerce.com/AF.
And focus, right? So it's not just like it's a new brand. Like I've heard some people be like, well, this is a sub brand, and it's like, it's not. No. It's its own brand, and it's our own team. It's like I've got a colleague at Simple Modern that was on my growth team. He joined me on this endeavor, and we don't work on Simple Modern anymore. We have fully focused our attention on Trevi, and that's for a few reasons. Why? It's a big opportunity. It's a large investment for our group, and we want our focus to be on the consumable space. And I think that one of the things that people also need to know is that like durable goods and consumables are like radically different, right? It's like we have vastly different economic structures. We have to talk to customers in a drastically different way. We have to think about subscription. Simple Modern never thinks about subscription. Trevi thinks about subscription every single day, right? And so it's like, we can't have this be like a partial mind share of like 30 people within the Simple Modern organization. And so it's like, it has to be a way for us to really serve customers by making Trevi and the product and the brand as good and as strong as it can be. And that requires focus. I read Johnny Ives' book last year, and it was actually a huge part of kind of my development in 2024. And there was this part in the book, and he said it in interviews. And Johnny Ives, like the legendary designer for Apple, and worked closely with Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Steve would always ask him, Johnny, what are you focusing on? And Johnny would kind of list all the projects he's working on. He's like, okay, what have you said no to recently? And Johnny would think, and he would kind of rattle off some projects he had said no to. And Steve would just look at him and say, Johnny, you wanted to say no to those projects.
Yeah.
Focus is saying no to things that you know in your bones is the right thing to do, but you have to say no to it to like actually focus on the thing that is ultimately like number one in terms of like working on. And that's how this decision was for me. And this is what Trevi was for our company, is that like, I know Simple Modern has just gone through like all the planning for the next 12 to 18 months. There's some incredible things on that roadmap, things that I get really excited about working on, but I had to say no to that to focus on Trevi, because ultimately we think that this is that big of an opportunity that we would take people working on Simple Modern, stop working on it, work on Trevi, and build a brand and product lines that deserve to be in the world, honestly. And that like, we know the role we're trying to play for customers, and we're going to work really hard to achieve that on a daily basis.
Okay. I have a lot of questions about the way you guys handled product development, the way you guys thought about that. But I'm actually going to see if we can get to the end, because I want to talk a little bit of like sort of launch strategy and some of that. So let's talk about the sort of mechanics of this launch. Okay. Let's start with like, what do you think the primary channel for growth is going to be here, at least first, or if even the phrase primary channel is correct?
Right. I don't know if I'd say primary channel. We're going to hopefully grow this as an omni-channel brand over time. Obviously, you got to start somewhere. Digital is where we're starting. Our D2C website.
D2C, okay.
Yeah, D2C, drinktrevi.com, and on Amazon. So it's like
that's what I figured.
Yeah, I view e-commerce broadly, D2C and Amazon together. We're Amazon 3P, which is another difference than where Simple Modern is currently in the 1P space. But like our launch strategy really is digital first. It's where we're best. It's where we've cut our teeth, and it's where our team has just a lot of competency. And so what we're trying to do is enter the market.
Do you think Amazon or D2C will be bigger right to start?
I think Amazon will be bigger. I think that one of the things. So
you're going to try and tap into the existing demand for the category on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's one of the main ways that we like identify growth opportunities and growing market opportunities is trend research, trend analysis, and keyword changes. Whether it's Google, whether it's Amazon, or a variety of other kind of like resources that we use. And so digital is where we're going to cut our teeth. We're going to definitely utilize Amazon. It's the channel that we believe can be the largest, the fastest. We also know that there is a channel with our direct-to-consumer business that is going to be able to provide a different experience. And a lot of times I think I hear people in consumer just talk about Amazon and D2C and the back and forth of all this. It's like they're totally different channels that have different reasons for existing, and we want to have a reason for each of those channels to succeed in our strategy. So it's like our subscribe and save model is ultimately going to look a little bit different than Amazon is over the course of the next 2 to 3 months. We've got a specific plan on delighting customers with our subscription model in direct and consumer that Amazon just can't do. But at the exact same time, we're going to utilize Amazon's daily customer acquisition for that channel in and of itself. And there are just people on Amazon every single day looking for hydration electrolytes, and we're going to be there to serve them as well.
So, okay. So for both of those, so on the Amazon side, did you do anything with the pricing or product, like number of servings per bag, anything like that to maximize the opportunity on Amazon? Because this is one of the things that has struck me as the most. I didn't understand this until I talked with Brian one time, a long time ago. Brian Porter, Chief E-commerce Officer at Simple Modern, and one of the founders, right? Like Brian, I had him on my podcast a long time ago. It's a great episode, actually. Just look for BRYAN on my podcast. And in fact, if you like this episode, you should subscribe, by the way. I do lots of conversations like this all the time. So don't forget to do that right now. Stop, go do it. Go. Thank you. But if you go, I always remember Brian saying this, that it really was eye-opening for me actually about how you guys launched Simple Modern on Amazon, which was that there was an attentiveness to price of the product, to actually at that time taking meaningfully less gross margin on water bottles than other brands were taking,
right? So
that you could price lower, and also having more ornamentations being built for and color choices basically being built for Amazon, because it was product based and price based competitive advantages in the Amazon marketplace, so that you could capture large portions of a huge amount of search that was happening, which was like for water bottles or stainless steel water bottles or whatever it was, or insulated water bottles. So I'm not an Amazon guy first and foremost, and that struck me as really smart. And I'm curious how you thought about that, because this is a category that is growing, exists, has some major players, and I assume has some amount of categorical search volume, around terms like hydration pack or hydration powder or something like that, So how did you think about sort of packaging, pricing, and all those kinds of things to maximize Amazon? And then after that, I want to move over to D2C and talk about that as well.
Yeah. So honestly, the product that we built is specifically built for Amazon. Like honestly, like when we talk about D2C,
this one,
that right there, it's a 20. That what you're holding is a variety pack. It's a 28 count variety pack. So you get 7 products, 7 individual sticks of 4 different flavors. We built that configuration of a product.
They are delicious, by the way.
Yeah, they're very tasty. Super sweet, 0 sugar. I think that's the thing, right? It's that like we built a product that we want to have. And that's like first and foremost, what we're always trying to do is that like there's always a shortage of great operators and great producers of things, right? It's like the world is always going to be willing to accept another great invention, right? And it's like, this is not novel, right? This is not the first one of these products. But what we think we've done is we've done it really well, and we may not be first, but we think that we're going to be best. But honestly, the configuration of that product is 100% tied to what we want to do from a channel perspective, specifically with Amazon. 28 sticks, 4 weeks in a month, 7 days in a week on average. I know it's 31, 28, 30, but like
it's a subscription. So take one a day.
Yeah. Take one a day. So that product is specifically built for, if you want to stay hydrated, if you want to take a stick and throw it in your purse, throw it in your gym bag, throw it in your work bag, throw one stick in your bag, and then, put in your Simple Modern water bottle is the best way we think it should be served. But at the exact same time, it's like one stick a day, helps you stay a little bit more hydrated throughout the day, and it helps with subscribe and save, and that you would just be getting your product on a monthly basis. And so we built this product to be $1 a stick. These products are wildly expensive if you look at it from a price per serving or price per stick metric. And so what we wanted to do was make it price point approachable. And so $1 a stick.
How does that $1 a stick compare to, let's say Element, or to, I don't know.
I would just say this.
Or to Noon. What's the average price per unit for other products?
Competitors are somewhere between $1.35 and $1.75 a stick.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And so it's like, we are in an incredible savings, full price alone, let alone subscribe and save, and let alone other discounting that we'll do in strategic points throughout the year. So for that channel specifically, we're at $1 a stick, and we're giving you a product. You're purchasing a product that you can use once a day. We also have a variety of frequencies at which you can subscribe. So if you want to have 2 sticks a day, or maybe you have more people in your family that want to be drinking it at least once a day, you can change how often you're receiving the subscription, or you can just buy more and have it delivered. So we built the product specifically in this current configuration on the pricing per stick and the volume at which you're receiving it. We have a couple other different configurations, and we're going to produce a few different kind of product packs that will roll out in March, April, May, and June that are different quantities for different channels and for different use cases and reasons. So when you go into physical retail, you're going to see folks in 7, 8, and 9 counts. We're not in physical retail yet, but we've already kind of mapped out what physical retail is going to look like. And it's going to be most likely 8 sticks. And it's because when you walk down an aisle, you are purchasing for the week most of the time. And so people are purchasing on weekly cadences when they go into physical retail. And so we're going to offer them a reason to walk down our aisle on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's makes a lot of sense that you would think about that. Is the D2C product different?
D2C product's the same as Amazon, but Amazon and D2C have very similar offerings with that. In addition to a 28 count, we have a 10 count, which is a smaller pack in general, but that's a single flavor offering. It's not a variety pack. And that's just if we're kind of incentivizing people to try it. So one of the main differences between a durable goods company and a consumable company is that when you look at a listing, whether it's on a D2C site or on Amazon for a durable good, you literally see what you're getting, right? It's like size is a little bit different, and some of the actual features may be hard to kind of know digitally, but you see what you're getting and the dimensions are there. With a consumable company and a consumable product, you have no idea what it tastes like, right? It's like you have a product and you did not know what the product was going to be like until you tried it. Like, you literally have no idea. The packaging looks good, but anyone can make packaging look good, right? It's like the actual product itself. You have to taste it. So we have a 10 count product that is kind of incentivizing people to try it. And then we have a try before you buy kind of offer for customers as well, because we think trying the product is so critical for the success of the product long term.
Basically, all of my clients use Billy to track the purchase behavior and all the event behavior on their websites for their Facebook ads. Basically, Billy is their pixel solution for Facebook. Instead of the native Shopify integration, they're using Billy because Billy has the best tracking in the game. It's also the fastest and easiest to install tracking that you've seen. The way I know this is that I've run Billy head-to-head against other third-party tracking solutions. I've run Billy head-to-head against Shopify's native Facebook ads integration, and Billy has defeated it every time that I've run it. And that has also included having better event match quality scores in Event Manager. And so it does that. But it's actually well beyond that. Billy also has cross-channel attribution if you want to use that. It also has basically a one-stop shop replacement for Google Tag Manager. So you can track all of your ads across all of your different ad channels with like the click of a button in Billy. It's incredibly fast, easy to use, includes Google enhanced conversion tracking, all those things. If you want a robust solution to get meta ads and all your other ad channels, the best data possible from your store back to the dashboard, back to machine learning, all those things, so that you get the best performance possible by getting the most data possible back to those advertising platforms, you should use Billy. Go to Billy.ai, Billy.ai, the link's in the show notes to get started with Billy today. Yeah, so I'll just pull that up really fast because then that way people can see, and you can go to drinktrevi.com to check it out. And of course, buy yourself some Trevi while you're at it.
Yes.
Well, let's see what your customer acquisition cost is on your time on this episode and see how many people we come from. Maybe we can create an and Andrew Ferris podcast,
I love
discount code or something you could track it.
Yeah. We'll Ferris 25 is what we'll do.
Okay. All right. There we go. FARIS, like Paris with an F. All right. So if you go try before you buy here, this is interesting. So you got the free 6-pack plus $1 shipping. I mean, that is, you're literally giving it away, basically.
Yes.
Just getting that $1. And I think this is interesting. I've kind of wondered about this for a while because the classic playbook for food and bev is to sample products in different places, and for all the reasons you said, especially in a product like this where you could do one stick works as a sample really well, and if you just sort of think about that as CAC, whatever your margin is on that plus the cost of distributing it to people, it's really good. But that's still a bold move to do like a basically free plus shipping offer on that. I don't know how much you guys have like launched ads and kind of really started to push on it, but do you have any early results on how that's going?
Yes, we have some early results. We haven't been pushing a lot of ads at this point in time, actually. But in terms of like how we're getting the word out through a combination of a few different activities we're doing, customer acquisition cost is a little bit higher than we want, but it's improving kind of day over day. We're changing the try before you buy offering. We've changed it twice now, and we'll probably change it another 2 times. But I'll say this is that like we have seen like kind of costs, customer acquisition costs between from other folks in the industry be $50 to $120, and it's up there. But the lifetime value of these customers is really strong because at the end of the day, you're changing a behavior, right? It's like when you're buying a durable good, the lifetime value of that customer and of that good, if it's any good, is years. But for our product, you may buy 2 to 4 of them in a 3-month horizon, depending on how much you like it. You may buy it 6 or 7 times a year. And so it's like we have to think about customer acquisition cost a little bit differently than what we have had to do in the past. And so sampling is like, man, I'll give you a couple dollars worth of product all day if I can convert you. So.
And a sample pack like that, what was it, a 3-pack or a 6-pack we said?
That was a 6-pack. We're giving you actually kind of like 2 of each flavor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because if you've got that, like, it seems to me that like you, I mean, it allows somebody to taste it, but like, I think it's got to be really cheap to ship that too, right? Because it's just such small little packs, right? So it's like you can actually accomplish that for pretty cheap overall.
Right. And so it's like we actually are building the product for that. The reason that we built the product that way is so that we can put it in US mail.
Yep. Yeah.
And so it's like when you when you put it in US mail as opposed to, other shipping cost structures, it's wildly affordable and price point approachable from a customer acquisition perspective. And so what we're always trying to do is find a way to maximize the value that we're giving customers, right? It's like $1 a stick is wildly accessible relative to the rest of the market. And then our try before you buy, it's like we have a little bit of a barrier of one single dollar, because
And
we
you have
kind
to
of
log
want you
in.
to
I saw.
you have to log in. It's like, we're not just giving it away. We're not going to have
Yeah.
any hackers just kind of come in and blitz it, because it's like, because you have to log in, then you have some parameters of like only one purchase per customer. So yes, you can go through the effort of setting up a lot
Multiple
of
email
emails
addresses
or
and yeah, right.
bots.
Yeah.
Like you can do that. I guess, but it's like, you're really not
It's a
going to
lot
get
of
that
work.
much value. It's a lot of work,
Yeah.
and the value is just not there for how fast you
right.
have to use, how fast you want to use this product. If you're going to
Yeah.
use it a couple of times a day or a couple times a week. And so we have some barriers to entry, but there's not really that much friction at all. And the value is just incredible. And the reason that we're giving you 2 sticks, or two sticks per flavor, and giving you 6 total sticks, is that we want you to be able to kind of like make it how you want it. And so it's like, some people are like, well, I don't know how this is going to taste. Some of these are really salty. Some of them have no taste. Some of them are really diluted. Some of them are really sweet. It's like on the kind of arc of things, we are sweet, not salty, but we have all of the electrolytes, minerals, and sodium that you want for the actual hydration part of it. But we made a sweet product, and then we allow you to dilute it. So if you put this in 16 ounces of water, it's going to be pretty sweet.
It's a strong flavor.
It's strong.
It's a drastically stronger flavor than Noon is, I think. And it's different flavor profile, but closer, I think, in terms of the strength of the flavor, like how flavorful it is to Element. And that was my take on it.
And from a flavor perspective, it's very similar to sports drinks with zero sugar.
Okay. So I want to talk about this. So, so I was thinking about this, so I'm like a CrossFit guy and sort of wear Whoop. Like I'm like a little bit of a health optimizer. I'm not as crazy as some people are about this sort of thing. Like here's the line of demarcation. I've never taken an ice bath. All right. So that's where like my thing stops. Okay. And so I was thinking about your guys' positioning a little bit. This is a little bit of a detour, but I think it's an interesting question. Do you see your competitor in this space as like, essentially, do you want to be comped to Gatorade, or do you want to be comped to Element and Noon? You know, like, or maybe both. I don't know. But like, it struck me exactly what you just said. The flavors taste more like traditional sports drinks, Gatorade, Powerade, whatever, as opposed to the flavors of like Element and Noon, which are like, Noon is much milder, like I said, as a flavor. Like it's just a less strong flavor. And then Element is like a lot of weird flavors. Like, you get like chili mango and stuff like that. It's like, and also just like it's so salty compared to other ones, and you can really taste the sort of like chemical sweeteners and some of those kinds of things. So, but the flavor profile you guys have, I mean, I've got it here. You've got berry lemonade, orange, raspberry, lemon, lime. Those are much more in the like Gatorade category. So, I mean, I don't know. How are you thinking about that?
Yeah. So within the broader kind of perspective of this, it's like there's hydration, and there are a variety of different flavor kind of profiles that we want to go after. And then when you get into the subcategory of electrolytes, you have people that are taking this for recovery, either recovery for working out and sweating a lot, or recovery for maybe having drinking and too much to drink. And so like there's a real medicinal use, and then there's a real like kind of sport nutrition use. And then if you kind of take it even a step kind of broader, you start to look at actually just like daily hydration, and like having something that you just helps you drink more water. And so this formula that's live right now, which is just the only product you can buy from Trevi at this point in time, is just a daily hydrator. And so what we're trying to do is kind of we want to flavor your day, and we don't necessarily want to help you recover. We want you to recover, but it's like we don't have all of the ingredients to the level at which you would need them for your sport recovery. We're actually going to come out with a sport formula before the summertime. We actually just finished product development on that right now in this past week, and we're very happy with the flavor and very happy with the formula that we've come up with. We think it's going to do really well, but we're actually going to have 2 different formulas to attack 2 different sides of the market. So the product that we have now is kind of everyday flavoring. We want it to be sweet. We want it to be a product that people want to consume multiple times a day. And so that's kind of the angle that we're taking. It's actually a much healthier sports drink, and because it's got 0 sugar, it's got a lot of great ingredients. It's got premium ingredients. And so what we're trying to do on this is to make a really healthy hydrator that encourages you to drink a lot more water throughout the day.
Yeah, I think that's really, that's
so it's like,
I mean, it just seems to me that like the Gatorade crowd is the larger audience, for sure. But
So
there's
that's
got
the
to be
thing,
some,
right? Like that's the
yeah,
thing, right? It's like we saw the market growing within electrolyte powders. But we all know that electrolyte powders is a subcategory of flavor in food and beverage. And
that's
so when
right.
you're like,
Yeah.
okay, where do you position this? It's like, well, I drink coffee, I drink water, I drink a sports drink, I drink, kind of go down the list of all the different things people consume. It's like electrolyte powders are so new in the market relative to everything else.
Yeah.
And so it's like, not only are we trying to educate folks on what an electrolyte powder is, we're trying to help convert them to Trevi. It's like, what we want to do is, you've talked about some other brands. They're kind of a range of flavor profiles. A good number of them are diluted in terms of like taste and flavor. And so there's no way for you to like increase the flavor profile.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of like, you think about it, like right now it's snowing in Oklahoma. It's like, if I want to stay warm, I'm going to just put on more layers. Right. But it's like, I can always put on more layers. And if it's hot in the summertime, you can always take off layers. But it's like with flavor, if I only give you a certain kind of flavor profile, you can only dilute it, right? It's like, if you want to put it in 8 ounces of water, that's as strong as it can be. But if you want to put it in 30 ounces or 40 ounces of water, it's going to be a lot more diluted, unless you just put a lot more powder in multiple sticks of powder in a drink.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Speaking of which, I came dressed appropriately. I don't know if you noticed. I got my Oklahoma Dodgers, AAA Dodgers hat today. I was going between that and the Big Friendly Brewing Company.
Both great hats. Both great establishments.
Both great spots. I agree. Although I was feeling a little silly that I had my water bottle on this call. I'm sorry.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Do you know why I have this? It's actually because I dropped my Simple Modern blender bottle, which I use all the time, and the top broke off, which was my fault completely. So I gotta get a new one. We should get you another one. Now I feel foolish for having it. Yeah. No, I'll buy one. It's all right. They're Simple Modern pricing is approachable for me. So
I love it.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about margin. I'm really curious about the margin profile on the product and sort of anything you can say about landed margin. I know, like, again, some modern guys have been really upfront about being very low margin, like sub 50% on the bottle or something like that, landed to the customer, even lower than that. And having worked on the ad account there with Simple Modern, like I remember sort of watching what that meant for what you had to do to acquire products without acquire customers without losing money. You're talking about Trevi's LTV, which is clearly where the real money is here, and subscription focused, clearly where the real money is here. Right. I am curious to see how that plays out for you guys, because it is a different muscle than the Simple Modern muscle. And I think you guys will be fine developing it. And I'm sure you guys have looked into it and brought smart people on, all that stuff. But it'll be fun to watch that happen. But yeah, talk about the margin profile of the product if you can.
Yeah, so it's a little bit.
If you targeted it, like if there was a target profile and how you thought about that.
There wasn't like a specific, hey, if it doesn't hit this profile, we're not going to do it. We actually care more about the product that we're making than like the bottom line dollar to start something like this. It is definitely different than Simple Modern. It has to be different for this to work the way.
Of course.
There are larger margins than what Simple Modern has, but the pricing structure changes that, right? So it's like you change that margin structure by what you're charging your customers. And I've already kind of explained that we're going to be price point approachable to customers, and being at $1 a stick, which is significant relative to the rest of the market. We are going to have a smaller kind of margin profile to ourselves, most likely, than how other people think about it. And the other thing is we're putting really good ingredients in the product. Like, we're not using table salt, we're using pink Himalayan sea salt. Like, we're using quality products and ingredients in the product. And so that kind of shrinks that profile a little bit more. But what we think is that great product is going to help us win, right? Where it's like, It's going to be impossible to market a product that nobody wants. And so we're going to make the best product we can and serve our customers that way. And so the margin profile is expanded relative to Simple Modern. But I don't think that that's actually like the fair comp, really, because it's so wildly different. I would say that it's going to be, it's going to allow us to do the things we need to do to win in subscription and to win digitally and to win in store over time. But like at the end of the day, the margin structure is obviously really important. But it's not, it's not like what you would probably expect other companies to be at, right? It's like
Yeah.
we have the same motto, right? Like with regards to how we're thinking about pricing, it's like just because you're in a new category that has a little bit of a different pricing structure, it's like customers don't care what your margins are, right? They care about the product and what they pay, and it's our responsibility to make sure that it's profitable for us. And so we've got a great manufacturer that we're working with. The product's made in America, so we don't have to ship it across the world. And tariffs aren't going to, impact that product directly that way. And so it's like there are a lot of advantages, right? It's like when I worked at Simple Modern and we had to set up a shipment to come from overseas, you'd see that product in 45 to 60 days. And when we set up a shipment now, it takes about 18 hours potentially, depending on how fast we get things turned around. It's like, it's quick. And so like that, all that it goes into the margin structure. But I would definitely say that what we're trying to do here, it allows us to be a little bit more aggressive in what we're going to be able to spend digitally from an ad perspective and to acquire a customer. Like I said, it may take $65 to $100, $125 to acquire a customer. And that's a lot different than a durable goods company that we've been working on in the past. So the economics are different. But I think more than anything is that like what we're trying to do and how we're trying to serve the customer is actually pretty similar.
Are you just delighted by that having so few SKUs to manage in this business after being Simple Modern?
Oh man. So the funny thing is that like I was probably the chief center of SKU expansion. So I don't know, like everyone would be like, oh, that's funny because Corbin was the guy that always added SKUs. I did take away a lot of SKUs, but I was also very willing to try new things. So managing this catalog is a lot easier, right? It's a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk a little, also ask you about the integration with Simple Modern's owned assets, basically orders, customers, email lists, SMS lists, all those things. And, I imagine you guys had some kind of vision for how to launch Trevi using those lists. I also imagine that however you did it actually played out in some way different than expectations, better, worse. I have no idea. So I'm just curious to hear you talk about how you leverage Simple Modern's reach to launch Trevi. And I'm also curious if that is going to help you open up any retail doors at some point. So that's kind of a second question, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I can address both of those. I think that when we launched Trevi and we kind of utilized Simple Modern, is that one of the things we did is we constantly kind of told our customer what we were about to do, teasing it out there and then introducing the new brand and company to Simple Modern's customers. And we are going to continue to kind of do that over time through emails, through social posts, through shared posts, through giveaways. I mean, there are lots of ways for us to really engage Simple Modern customers and introduce them to Trevi. And Simple Modern customers have trusted Simple Modern with their kind of portable beverageware needs, water bottles, tumblers, coffee mugs. And so it's like you are, a qualified purchaser at some level, but you may not actually be the qualified customer that we're going after that really wants an electrolyte powder. Yes, everyone's drinking some sort of beverage, but not everyone is drinking an electrolyte powder, which is another reason why we went with a different brand. It allows us to actually do different activities and different things to go acquire new customers. Long term, we think that Trevi can introduce a lot of folks to Simple Modern just as much as Simple Modern can introduce folks to Trevi. So, I mean, Simple Modern has tens of millions of bottles that get sold to customers on an annual basis. And so we're going to have some ways to talk to customers about what we're doing at Trevi. And we're going to find some ways to really leverage those email lists and digital assets like you've talked about. But more than anything on that, it's introducing folks to Trevi and then trying to give them as many opportunities and on-ramps as possible to have the product. So
are you including an insert in the bottles that Simple Modern sells? Are you including a sample pack in there? Anything like that?
Yeah. So we definitely, we have some inserts that'll be going in bottles. We have kind of cross promotion products that go into direct to consumer orders right now. And then we will also have inserts in all the water bottles and tumblers going forward.
Have you thought about just dropping a stick into the bottle?
We've had lots of conversations about that.
What's the answer?
We'll see what happens over time. I mean, a consumable has a shelf life that a durable just doesn't have. And so depending on what the offering is and what retailer we're in or what distribution channel we're talking about, that may or may not be on the table. Simple Modern customers have been receiving free samples and inserts through a direct-to-consumer channel, and we've seen nice customer acquisition through it.
So, okay, so you have actually already included free samples straight to D2C customers, because that feels like the one of those places where D2C is sort of unparalleled in
Right. It's an
its
owed
ability
asset.
and you can just test it at whatever scale you want without having to like rejigger a whole bunch of different things. It's just like you can split test it. You could send out, a month's worth of orders. Half of them get this, half of them get that. Like there's just stuff that you can do with D2C there where you have so much control over everything in a way that you just don't at mass retail or Amazon or whatever, So,
Exactly.
So you've actually dropped some sample packs into Simple Modern orders.
Yes. If you purchased on simplemodern.com from Black Friday through the start of the year, you've actually received a Trevi sample pack. And so you got
it.
So that try before you buy is a 6 count. We actually just took half of that and gave it to customers. And so you got one of each of the top 3 flavors.
Have you done the math on what the CAC was doing that?
Where it's still rolling in, right? So it's like, it's an interesting dynamic. So
it's January 9th when we're recording.
So it's interesting because you've got a window of time that is primarily gifting season. And so you actually see people kind of rolling in at different levels. So it's like if you purchased on Black Friday, you probably received that product since it was a late kind of holiday season and kind of a condensed shopping period. From Black Friday, you probably were opening that actual direct-to-consumer fulfilled product somewhere between December 2nd and December 5th. If you were like me in my house, you opened it on December 12th or December 13th because you just let boxes kind of stockpile and pile up. And so we actually see these like really interesting like customer acquisition curves from the sample inserts. And there are different little spikes throughout the time. And so it's been an effective way to get customers. We know that there are ways out there for it to be more efficient and more effective long term, but we think that there is something just very valuable about letting the customer try the product.
Okay, we'll talk about the retail thing. So, is there any sort of extra inroad in just by nature of even having the relationships? I'm just assuming that there's at least an easier starting point. At least, I mean, a retailer's not going to take on a new product just because you're pals, But like, is there? How have you guys thought about that?
Well, I definitely think that there is. Some overlap with this, right? Where it's like Simple Modern has grown into a great omni-channel brand. And that's because of the relationships and the selling partnerships that we have with mass retail, wholesale club, grocery, mid-tier. I mean, just kind of the categories of channels we sell into as extensive. And so we definitely believe that there's going to be an opportunity to kind of help get those conversations started. I mean, more than anything, what we are trying to do is earn that right to sell, right? Because it's like selling into physical retail kind of requires 2 transactions. The first transaction is with the actual buyer. The actual buyer has to see the value in your product and in your brand. And then the second is actually the customer purchasing that from the buyer and from the retailer itself. And so it's like we want to earn that right. And the best way to earn the first one is actually to earn the second one by selling well on digital.
Yeah.
So it's like, honestly, like the introductions are great. We're going to have some amazing offerings to provide physical retail customers. But we earn that first purchase by delivering the second purchase really well digitally. And so what we're trying to do is to have that digital story with what we're doing. And I'll just be honest, like the first 45-ish days or so, I think we're on an incredible kind of growth trajectory to tell that story to retailers.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Like just sort of where you guys are at, any framework for sort of how it's gone so far relative to expectations?
I think that in some ways it's better and in some ways it's worse, right? It's like customer acquisition cost is kind of like all over the place. Some days you're like, wow, this is incredible. And in other days you're like, maybe this is not as good as we thought. And maybe it's drastically worse than we thought. But like, because it's kind of this scatter plot of data points over the first 45 days. I'd just say this, we're really happy with what it is. We think that the product is we know the product's receiving incredible reviews. And that's the most important thing is that the product is getting out there and people love it and they give us positive reviews. I think on the website right now, we're at like somewhere between 65 and 100 reviews. And it's like at a 4.85, 4.9. We got 5-star reviews on Amazon. And so it's coming through just the way we want. And then, so what we're trying to do is continue to grow this story. We launched this product and the company on Black Friday. And so we are actually selling into the deadest period for electrolyte.
Yeah, in your
products.
category, that's bad. Yeah.
I mean, it's the winter.
Yeah.
Physically, it's the winter, and it's the winter for this product as well. I mean, this product
it's
really
the most competitive time if you're running any ads or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's incredibly expensive to run ads. It's incredibly noisy, right? We had a very noisy year for a lot of different reasons, digitally through ad spend and just kind of the news cycle in general. And so it's like at the end of the year, it's noisy, it's gifting. People are thinking about their purchases one way. We have a product that is really kind of seasonally peaking between May and August. And so what we're trying to do is just get in a really solid position for that time period by building out the product lines, building out the flavors, and then building out the offerings.
It's awesome. Corbin, where should people follow the journey? Where should people follow up with you? What's the best place for people to kind of see what's going on?
Yeah, so we would love for you to come to drinktrevi.com to try the product that we have for Trevi Hydration. You can also find us on Amazon. We're launching TikTok Shop. I think we're going to actually turn it on tomorrow. So those are 3 retailers that you can start with right now. And then you can also follow along on the journey digitally with us. You can go to Trevi Hydration at Trevi Hydration on Instagram, and then the same for X as well.
Yeah, cool. And then if they want to follow you, you are at Corbin_Wallace on X, and reasonably active there. You get not only some Trevi and work updates and some inspiration there, but some good Oklahoma City Thunder updates along the way too. So you can see what's going on.
Yeah, if you follow me, you're going to get a variety of posts, and there's going to be some Thunder and OU football sprinkled in there along the way.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the brand of the Simple Modern crew that you guys are the Oklahoma people. So
yeah, we are. I mean, it's a great place. We're fantastic at basketball right now. Lost one last night for the first time in like 15 games, which kind of stung. But hey, you know what? Shea, J-Dub, we're ready for Chet to come back.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, I hope you liked that episode. If you did, you should subscribe wherever you're watching or listening to this, because I make all kinds of episodes just like that all the time. A mix of solo episodes and interviews with really smart folks like Corbin. Appreciate so much the generosity of the information that Corbin and the Simple Modern team in general, and now the Trevi team, have done, where they're really sharing all kinds of details about what's going on in their business with a lot of transparency. Of course, you should follow up with my sponsors in this episode. That is Vermont. Go to vermontcommerce.com/AF and go to billy.ai, BILY.ai, to go follow up with them. And of course, the links for those are in the show notes. And you should also follow up with me any ways that you would like to do that by going to ajfgrowth.com to see everything I'm doing. You can also follow me on x.com/Andrew J. Ferris. And email me, podcast@ajfgrowth.com. I'd love any of your thoughts, any of your questions. I'm always interested in doing mailbag type episodes. So podcast@ajfgrowth.com. And I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.